Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, and I bring him up because there's a comment that came through, a super chat that came through here saying, yet again, Bruno sits down these haters. Listen, he's in amazing form right now. What did you make of him tonight, mate?
I think he's been good again. And as someone who's also have said, I know you made it, but I've also said to move forward that Man United, we should move on Bruno Fernandes. I'm sitting here and looking at his position change and be like, I'd rather keep him here if he's going to be doing this. You know what I mean? When he was in the 10 in the 3-4-3, he wasn't providing the speed. He was dribbling was off, like his decision making was off, his passing was off, and you could tell he was trying to do so much for the team. But then he got moved into this central role in the pivot, and for some reason, he has just been a breath of fresh air. He's more composed on the ball. His passing is really good. His decision making is really good. And he's scoring more goals and getting more assists. Because I think that's because he's getting more time in central areas because he's not one of the attackers, you know? Like they've got 3 attackers in front. He's got 2 wing backs bombing forward. He's got so much more time and space to do what he's good at. And I like him in that role. And if you're telling me that we have to keep Bruno Fernandes for a few more seasons, then if he's in that role, keep him. I've got no issue with that because we are finding ways to get best out of players. One of the things that people have been saying about Amorim is, how he's not improving players, he's not getting the best out of the players. All of them look rubbish. But one, we know that's not true, and 2, we already knew there's going to take time to find solutions in this squad, and we've been finding them slowly. Obviously, Aiden Heaven was a solution, I believe, that we had found. But obviously, he's got injured now, but there's this little solution there. Playing Bruno in the double pivot has been a solution. Moving Xerxes into one of the 10s instead of being a striker, we've seen it again getting the best out of him. You know, hopefully Garnacho forms continues on the right hand side. Dorgu came in. Obviously, the manager would have a say in that. So there are short-term solutions that Amorim is finding that I can deal with until the summer. And Bruno being in the double pivot is one of them.
I agree. I agree. I think he looks the Bruno in this double pivot of late as we're starting to see the rest of the players get up to speed with how we're trying to play. He reminds me of Bruno for Portugal. Very, very similar. And if you're like me and you've watched Bruno for Portugal a lot, even when I was saying I think his time at United may have to be up because his performances were bad, and I'm glad that it looks like that may be wrong because I love Bruno Fernandes. One thing I regularly said to people is, look, I don't think he's a bad player. I don't see how you can look bad for Man United week in, week out for a period of time. But then you go on international duty and look amazing for Portugal. And I mean that across the board for all players. Even when it comes to Anthony and Rashford and others are now doing well away from Man United, I would always give them the same credit I'm giving Bruno in this instance, which is when you're in a well-drilled system, in a non-toxic environment, you'll do better. And Man United are a problem in a lot of our players that have been suffering. At the same time, I love what you said there about finding solutions. Because the little solutions we're starting to find, the signings of Dorgu that nobody had heard of before we bought him. No one was talking about him. Let's have it right. Not even the FM and the FIFA crowd. Nobody was talking about him. Heaven. Most of us didn't even realize he was a first team signing when he came in. None of us did. That is enough in the short term. And I'm going to be very specific with my words so that no one can clip me up. That is enough in the short term for me to put some faith in this rebuild when it comes to us knowing what we're doing in recruitment in the short term. So in the short term, those 2 signings are enough for me to say, I'm going to give it this summer. Would be enough for me to say, even if let me rephrase that again. If I was a doubter, it would be enough for me to say, I'm going to give it this summer and see what it looks like. Man United fans have got to learn to control this narrative more. I understand we hate the Glazers. I understand that many of us feel like Ineos coming in has kept the Glazers here and we thought they were close to leaving. I understand that train of thought. I've listened to a Sir Jim interview, and there's certain things he said where people have been like, I can't believe he's saying that the Glazers are nice people. He's never going to say anything horrible about them. He's essentially trying to convince them to sell him the rest of the club. He won't be slagging them off. How? Oh, we've got a red flag here. He said that Daniel Levy is a great guy. Yes, this has been through the process of him negotiating Ineos no longer sponsoring Spurs. Why would he be slagging him off? Equally, at some point, we might want to buy a Spurs player. We might want to sell Spurs a player. Why damage that by going, I know my fans think Levy's a dick, so I'm going to also say Levy's a dick. Why would he be an idiot and do that? You, a football fan, don't have to sit in front of Daniel Levy ever and convince him of anything. He does. He's never going to slag him off. Use your fucking brain. Equally, though... Sorry, go on.
Just add on that as well. You notice the two people he did slag off, or did have comments about, was Woodward and Arnold. And guess what? They're not in football no more. Dan Ashworth, though, he didn't say much about Dan because he, again, is going to be in football still.
I have seen... it's one of these things where I look at this situation and I saw people defending Richard Arnold and Woodward yesterday. And they were like, well, and then someone just said he's only saying that to pander to the fans. Yes, but then he's also praised the Glazers and praised Daniel Levy. That doesn't pander to the fans, does it? He's saying certain things you're going to get the complete truth on. And he's right. And then I heard, well, we've got a cycling man now running the club over a golf man or whatever it is. Rugby man. So, but no, so Brailsford isn't running the football club. Barada is. But he is in an advisory role. He isn't making footballing decisions at the club. That is what Wilcock, that is what Vivel, and that is what Barada are doing. Understand it. But what I find so interesting is that when Sir Jim and Ineos do things that we've been asking for, more communication, look to develop the club, be transparent about the plan, it's met with pure skepticism, and there can be no way this will work. Then when they say things we don't like, that's 100% proves I'm right. I'm like, not really. And I'm not saying, by the way, they're going to turn the club around 100%. I'm just stating to Man United fans, control the narrative a little bit better. We've had a week where it's been by and large positive, and we've had 3 positive results. Maybe that should tell you something. And for me, it's a case of when you look at the Bruno Fernandes situation, the solutions you've seen that we've made in the transfer window for a few little problems, give it the summer. Because you know, what's really weird is if we suddenly start winning more games, people will scrutinize the plans less, which is interesting. I always find that an interesting concept. But as I say, look, we should still challenge things that we don't like. But I think there's times publicly where Man United fans have got to control the narrative a little bit better, personally. Let's look at a few of these comments that have come in here. The international break is good for recovery and rest, but do you think it's counterproductive for the consistency? Yeah, listen, I kind of want to keep playing now. I love Man United are in great form. I don't want to break. So I get where you're coming from. Josh Wearing says, great confidence boost ahead of the international break. Got to keep up the momentum. But the one thing I will say, it's nice going into an international break on a couple of wins. Everything feels a little bit more positive. Everything feels... Listen, Liverpool are top of the league. But in terms of in an isolated period of time, feels a lot better than a lot of... I feel better than I think Chelsea fans do going into this international break. Better than Liverpool fans do. Better than Spurs fans do. So that side of it's very, very good indeed. Excuse me. We need to stick to Amorim through good and through bad. I think we just need to stick to a plan through good and bad and complete a squad build and complete an ethos change at the club. This year says, good to see the youngsters get some game time. Wasn't it nice to be in a position in a game to bring on youngsters, though? How many times have me and you, is what I was going to ask you, how many times have me and you watched a game together or like we're sort of communicating during a game? Oh, I'd love to see Joe Bloggs come on. And we just never get the game into a position where we can bring the youngsters on.
Yeah, man, it's happened so many times where like you see a team and like, oh yeah, we should easily put them to the sword. 20 minutes to go, whack on a few youngsters, get them some minutes, and it just never happens. And I will always say, Terry, like these players hate the young people, don't they? They must hate them because you just never give them a chance. And it was nice today to see Collier, Amas, and Chido all on the pitch. It's a shame about him because I reckon he would have stayed on as well, and he would have seen 4 young players on the pitch. And yeah, it was good to see them, and all of them showed a little bit of something today. Collier is showing some versatility. And the main things that he's showing, actually, is that Amorim trusts him. he trusted him to go right wing back for a bit. Then he trusted him to move back centrally, and he did the job there. He did the okay job. He's not a right wing back, so I'm not expecting him to go bombing forward like a Dallo. But he kept the ball. He did his tackles. He moved in centre midfield, and same again. He just did his job. Steady. If you want to call him a steady Eddie, that's fine. Like he did that. We need that from him right now. We don't need him to be extravagant. Amas, I'm Steven Amas, when he was just a left back in Ten Hag's system, I was a bit worried for him. I was like, okay, I don't know how he'll adapt. Will he be able to defend the wide areas like we had to under Eric Ten Hag? Can he do that role? He looks more like a winger than he does a left back. But now that we play free at the back, he's gonna have that cover with a defender behind him. And I know going forward, he's good. I know technically he's very good. Even today, he did a little bit of a couple of feints with the passes. I'm like, okay, I want to see a bit more. Can he towards the end of the season? Can he get a couple of games with a few minutes in there? Because I'm really intrigued to see how he does. Because I think we would have a decent cover in this young man. He's quick. He can play with the ball.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing him. And he did good defensively as well. And surprisingly, he's got a long throw. Which I didn't expect him to have. And then Cheeto, he only had really one moment, but it was good. He trapped the ball with a player on him, pushed it past him, and played out wide. It's these little things that I see a young player do. And I'm like, okay, let's build from that. People expect, listen, I know I like young players. Everyone says, you would want to have a team of youngsters if you could. No. But when it comes to young players, I don't actually need them to do all the extravagant things. I would love it if they do. We all love it when we see players burst onto the scene. But it's in the little things where you see growth in these players. And I want to see more of these little things keep growing.
Yeah. Just an update here. Just come out on the United stand. It says we have to evaluate during the week. He is a young kid and doesn't know how to explain what he's feeling. It is hard for us to know. He is a bit calm now, but we have to assess this. Some people are saying that some people are claiming that he's been up and walking around. Hopefully it's a sprain or something, and maybe he's just. My hope is that it's a sprain, which can be very painful, but he maybe panicked, because he's young and come off. Fingers crossed that's the truth. A few people saying here Heaven is walking around freely after some free time. Heaven's listen, I hope, Eric, that you are correct about that. But listen, about the youngsters, you're absolutely right. I thought they did a very good job. I look at like Toby Collier. I haven't been blown away by him in terms of, oh my God, he could dominate a midfield in the Premier League for the years to come. When I see him, it's not the blonde hair, by the way. It's just, I see Darren Fletcher. I see John O'Shea. I see a versatile player that can help us in areas. That's what, for me, Scott McTominay always should have been. As an example, what Jesse Lingard always should have been. A member of the squad who helps us in positions, as opposed to, do you think he'll ever be a starter? And I was really impressed with him when he came on. Definitely some defensive issues that I saw in pre-season and other games that he played in. But as a wing-back, I have felt, and this is one thing I will say about Ten Hag, I felt that Amas should have had an opportunity a little sooner because of his natural left foot as an example. But it was great to see the youngsters come on and play, and it's very much the fabric of which this club is built upon. So, I absolutely love it. A dub and Liverpool tears today is a good day.
Thank you, Newcastle.
Listen, it was good. It was good.
Their fans can be jarring at times. I know. We all know this. Newcastle fans have this weird sense of we're part of the big boys, but when they get big boy pressure, they don't like it. I get that can be annoying. But today, these are the days that football fans live for. Your first trophy in 70 years. And you did it by beating not only the best team in the country, you dominated them, and you did it with a team, not just like a carry job, not with a fluky goal.
Yeah.
The team is just a really good team, a really good manager, and it's hard work, hard graft. And hey, listen, we don't know what's going to happen with the whole Man City, the whole third-party sponsorships rules. All I'm saying is I hope that gets shut down, Because anyhow that gets opened up,
Yeah,
boy,
you know they're gonna
Newcastle.
they're gonna be there, and they're getting a lot of confidence today. So yeah, again, I said it earlier. Congratulations to Newcastle, thoroughly deserved. Well done to them, and everybody associated with their club. It was a phenomenal day. There's no doubt about it.